I don't know. Millikin was always good to me. Well, that's where I found my wife, and she was a good one, I tell you that. My name is Fred Bradshaw, and I came from southern Illinois to Millikin by a fluke, I think, but somebody I knew, not real well, came to me and said, "Get ready, next week I'm taking you to Millikin University, and because I've got you a scholarship for you." And I said, "No, I'm not going anywhere." And he says, "Yes, you are. I've already talked to your mother." And the next week I was on my way to Decatur, and I didn't play football. That was back in, wasn't even on the team. Well, they had a great team. I mean, one of the best teams I probably had, because they had a fellow by the name of Wagner, Burge Wagner from Belleville, and he went up and played in the Canadian Football League for a number of years. And they had another big kid from Belleville area, End. And then my big brother in the fraternity was a pretty big guy too, and he was from Albany, where the White Squirrel Country. And so they had a real good football team. So I didn't participate in any sports that whole year. But I knew it. In December, I enlisted in the Marine Corps to be go on active duty in July the 1st. So when the school year was over, I got a part-time job for 3 or 4 weeks from the time school was out till July the 1st. It was a good job. It was at the Decatur Club, and I had a room, and I had good food, and so I did that, stayed there till the government provided me a bed up at Northwestern University, and fed me. And the military takes care of you. They'll do it, but feed you and take care of it, and even give you money. So that was in 42, and the 42 and school year, the whole school year, 42, because I went in till active duty then July the 1st of 43. And then I'm in the Marine Corps, or I went to college, and I was in the Marine Corps until November then of 45. So then I come back to Millikin for the second semester of the 45-46 school year. And for the purpose of getting some courses that I needed to qualify for teaching in Illinois at that time. I needed the educational courses because I'd started out as a major at Millikin in engineering, and then these other colleges I went to, I had mostly an engineering course. But by doing that, I took quite a few math courses, and I kind of was interested in history, and so I had enough to teach history, and so I had 2 courses, plus I could teach PE and health with that, so it helped you get a job, because you had possibilities or flexibility or do different things. But on the athletic business, that was in the football season of 46. Yeah, I did play football, and I wouldn't say I was a regular. I played though quite a bit. And I remember playing against ISU, Illinois State University, or Normal, I guess it was at that time. And also the same way we played Charleston, which is Eastern, at that time, because I remember I was played in that game. I remember I was playing safety, and they had a big end, about 6'3", and he was down there for the long pass. But right before the ball got there, he pushed me in the back and got the ball. And the coach, well, Wells was the coach then at that time, And he saw it, so he didn't get on my case. He was hollering at the referees, which kind of made me feel good that I didn't misjudge the height or didn't misjudge things. And then the other thing about that career was I remember very good, I thought, or appreciated it. We went to Lake Forest and played on a Saturday, naturally, and Sunday we found ourselves over at Wrigley Field and watching the Bears play football in a pro game with, I think it was with the Washington Redskins. Well, the only little school I think we did play was Illinois College. Well, Wesleyan, well, they were not a lot bigger, I don't think. Well, I don't know. I know in my case, Wesleyan didn't mean anything to me as far as I wasn't from the area really. I was southeastern Illinois. But oh yeah, the other thing I did that. I was out for track one year, and because I'd been a coach track or later, but I was I don't know. I guess I was a broad jumper, whatever. But to coach, let's see that I don't know whether that was Wells or not. Yeah, it was. They had a relay coming up, and he put me in this mile relay. Well, that meant I was running a quarter mile. I'd never, I don't think, run that far. I didn't know how to pace myself, and I remember got about 2/3 around the track, and I said, this isn't bad. And I took about 3 more strides, and I thought, oh my God, I hope I can make it to the finish line because I was running out of gas because I hadn't trained for it. I don't know why he threw me under the wagon or whatever you call it. I know I didn't come in with the blue ribbon on the deal. Well, he liked to win. I never did see a coach that didn't like to win, and I don't know. As far as I was concerned, he got treated A-okay. Maybe he should have been a little bit smarter, played me more. That's no, he was all right. He was all business. Maybe at the time though, I don't know how long he was there, and I don't even know whether he stayed in the coaching or whether he moved on. Oh well, in high school I played football, basketball, and track. I wasn't a big kid in high school. I played tailback in high school, and I only weighed 120 pounds, and that's when they had the single wing type football, which everybody used then. It wasn't until the 40s that they began with the T formation business, and of course things changed now. I don't know, scattered all over the field and fast game, and well, that folder you saw that the gear, we didn't even have face masks in 46 or 40. And I went coaching. I think the first year I coached at Deliopolis, we didn't have helmets with face masks, but the next year we didn't have. I don't know whether we had the face masks or not. We had the helmets. So with the hard helmets, and that was the 47 year, and so I think everybody else started at the same time. But the helmets weren't that good, and a lot of times you hit head on head, you'd crack them, and so then I think some of the producers of them got big lawyers naturally got after them, and so I think they began to have them done in Mexico, so that protect themselves from lawsuits. I think that's what happened to a degree. Well, in those days, things were kind of tough. You didn't have the luxury of sitting in an air-conditioned room, watching television, and playing a game, or drinking good stuff. You're lucky to have good water that didn't come out of a well, maybe, and because that was in the late, in the 20s, roaring 20s, but a lot of poor people were around then, and everybody's poor, so it didn't make a lot of difference. But you entertain yourself. That's what you did. You wasn't like, that's what everybody did. And you got out of the house because the house was too hot. Made sense. You'd be outside more. Well, it was a fall sport. If you didn't do it, you didn't do any sports if you didn't go football. Yeah, they didn't have tennis or golf or soccer or something like that. You didn't have options like that. It was either football or not. Well, I don't know. I don't think I had any. I don't know. At that stage, I wasn't even thinking about going to college. I wasn't even thinking about making a career of it. I coached at Illinois for 2 years, and then 10 years. Let's see. Almost 2 years at Auburn, and then I left in March of the second year. I got go to Quantico and then to Korea. And then that next year I lost all of it. And then I came back and I was at Auburn for 3 years. And then I go to Westfield, New Jersey for 2 years. And then I come back to Auburn for 5 more years of coaching. So I was a coach at Auburn for 10 and 2 at Illinois, 2 in New Jersey. And then I became the high school principal. I was a high school principal for 2 years. Worst job I ever had, I think. It's tough, you couldn't hide from anybody, the students or the faculty or the board or the superintendent or just everybody was after you. Well, yeah, I don't know. I lasted longer as a principal than as I did as a superintendent. 1 year of that, and I go and get the idea, I think I'll go get a doctor's degree. And then I went to work for, the last 18 years, I guess, I was working with the State Department of Education. Well, I was kind of surprised. That was fairly early, but I knew they were going to do what they did. They start that out, and it's pretty hard to get into it at first. And now I've followed a little bit, not closely, but now you've got assistant coaches that coach 20 years, and they get in there. Or they guys that had losing records even get in. Anybody gets in there, maybe if they pay their dues, that's it, or something like that. In other words, it's not like Major League Baseball to get in there. Or that's hard to get into, and it's always been hard. The 10 years, that would have been about, 80-some games, right? Was that right? Well, we had some ties, a couple like that. I think we lost 15 games while I was there in that 10 years. And 8 of them were lost the first 2 years. So the last 8 years we lost 7 games. In the tweens in time, that year I was in Korea, the guy that had the job for that year lost 1 game and tied 1 game, I think. And then the 2 years I was in Westfield, Jersey, they each lost one game. And then the year after I retired, the guy was undefeated. Well, that's one of the reasons I retired, because I knew had this, most of the club back, and we'd lost. Well, we missed being a undefeated team by one play in that year. In the year I got the same bunch back, so I knew a year ahead of time why you just go out there and jump. I wasn't. My ego didn't need to. So I, but so he was there for 4 years. That undefeated the first year. I think the next year he loses one. The next year loses one, ties one. The next year he loses 4 games. Next year he's gone. So he got there at the right time. Well, we didn't do much except we didn't do the filming stuff, and and most people do it now. They do it by film. We would, we didn't scout too many teams. We had one rival that we would watch off and off all season and everything else, and that was Burden. That was our big rival, as far as I was concerned, because I was mad at them, because they came when I was at Heliopolis and I was going. They knew I was available, and I hadn't signed up with Auburn yet. And they came up there when I was smoking then, and they come up to the coaching room, the superintendent and the president of the board. And as soon as they see that ashtray, that was it. They didn't even consider. And I think they went back and told the locals, we couldn't hire that guy. He's a smoker. And they were sorry they said that, I think, later, because it gave us great delight. The first 2 years, they beat us. And the next 8 games, 8 years that I coached, we beat them 7 out of 8. And the 1 year they did beat us, they were undefeated, untied, and they said unscored on, except we scored a touchdown against them, but they said it was we cheated them or something on their field. We cheated them on their field, or the referees cheated them or something. They wanted it perfect, but they didn't get it, and we were the ones that was able to score a TD, which they gripes them about it yet. The first year, we were playing a team the next week, and we didn't have anybody who would know. And she did get some stuff, but I said she's got to be crazy, but she wasn't crazy. They played the T formation, I think, and they'd rotate the guys playing different positions on every play. I don't know, they never ran the same formation all the time, so it's hard to do anything. I don't know. In that game, though, I think we did get beat by 1 point. That was one of those games of that bad. What did I say? We lost 15 games? No, how many? No, nine games. 9 games was it? Or 8 games? 6? No, 3 and. No, we lost 8 of the 15 games. Yeah, the first 2 years, and that was one of them. Was that 1-pointer? And then they'd have other races. Well, one race they ran one year was anybody wanted to, could. And I don't know, there's 20 or 30 people in this race on the main street of town. And you had to take your shoes off, put them in a pile, and then go down 100 or 150 yards away, and then he'd start them. You had to run down and find your shoes, put them on, and be the first back to win. And we did this, and I won. I cheated, I think, because I tied my shoes together, and the guy that running the thing, I don't know why I did it. I figured he would kick them, and he did that. scattered them all out. So here you got all kinds of shoes there, and they're not together. So you got to find one and then find the other one, and the guy can't find it because somebody's holding it and looking at it like it's his. Well, anyway, I'm the smallest guy there. I think I run down there last to get there, but I find my shoes because they're there together and get them on. And I remember running back, and there were 10 yards. I look, is anybody going to catch me? But anyway, I won the big prize of I don't know whether it was $1 or $2 or something. Boy, oh boy, that made my day.